Good evening, everyone. We are back with something a little bit different today. So we're sort of running this parallel to our Studio Ghibli retrospective. I think this was an idea that you came up with probably towards the beginning of this year. We knew that there's a certain big film coming out next month, which is Wicked for Good. And I still, as of this recording, have yet to see Wicked. I haven't seen the stage show. I haven't seen Wicked Part 1. I feel like I'm the only human on this planet that hasn't seen that movie yet. But you sort of pitched this to me that it would be cool to do sort of like a mini Wizard of Oz retrospective. And I say a mini retrospective because I was under the impression that this was always the first Wizard of Oz movie. It's, certainly the most well known and most iconic and just the absolute classic that it is. But there were like 7 other versions of the Wizard of Oz that were made before this film, various sort of, black and white, silent films, short films, and whatnot. So this was like the ultimate remake, I suppose, of the time, coming out in 1939. So there was already a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff before this. But this is the main one.
Because Alice in Wonderland has loads and loads of versions that you discover every year and go, oh, there was a weird 30s creepy version.
Yes. I feel like every version's creepy in its own way. And certainly next week's that we'll be talking about is probably the most creepy, although there's a lot of shady shit with the production of this film. And there's an exhaustive amount of detail in the production of this film, which I'm not going to be able to recite it all today. There's various behind the scenes and there's literal documentaries on the making of this film. But we'll try and go through some of the cliff notes because it gets pretty dark and pretty grim very, very quickly. We've got a few people in the comments already. Kurt the Gamer says, I have a long history with this one. Sorry, can you just bump my volume down still? I'm still getting a bit of echo from there. Kurt also says, I'm one of the few people I know who heard the book before the movie. In fact, before I knew there even was a movie. Well, we are probably actually going to throw out some book comparisons on this one, or I should say you are, because you're an avid reader and you have read at least the original Wizard of Oz book, right? The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
I've only read the first one. I do want to read the others, but there's so many. It's like a commitment, It's that commitment of there being loads, and because the way it ends, it's kind of like, okay, we'll go to sequels, but it's not like a direct sequel. So I do want to read them, but how many is there? It's like,
God. Well, there's so many that the original author, L. Frank, how we pronounce his last name? Baum. I'm going to keep saying it wrong. I'll call him L. Frank.
Yeah, he did like the first 14, I think it was, but then they continued it as an official thing, like it was an official person took over. And then I think it ended with something weird, like Wizard of Oz and the Magic Roundabout. It was like the Magic Roundabout of Oz or something. It was really weird, and it got really bad reviews, and they went, yeah, okay, let's stop.
Is that like the Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein kind of thing, where we get to that point?
You should see the cover of the book. It's this guy on like a merry-go-round.
Oh, that's great. It's not the Magic Roundabout, like Zebedee and
yeah, imagine that. It's like a really cool crossover. Zebedee shows up.
By the way, just really, really quick for people watching at home, what are the audio levels like? Are we like sort of evenly balanced? Let us know, because I'm getting quite a lot of volume from your mic, Dale. I don't know if
if no one replies to that, that just says there is no volume.
Exactly, we're just mute all the way through. JX, quite controversial hot take here, says, you know what happens if you don't see this movie until you're almost 20? You hate it vehemently. Some charged words there, but I can maybe understand that. It's
still a fun movie. I think every musical gets annoying, but that's my personal perspective of I don't like musicals, which is weird because I absolutely love music, like but like I don't like musicals because it's the whole like, why have we got to sing the fact that we're doing this? Like someone's washing the dishes and suddenly there's a 3-minute song and you're like, I wanted a bit of plot. I wanted to move on from watching. Like it's that kind of thing. And I've never been the biggest fan of musicals. People would say I hate musicals. I wouldn't say I hate, but I've never been the biggest fan. But I think this is it's a fun movie, and it's not like the thing about Wicked. It's very musical movie. This is a movie musical, if that makes sense. Like, do you know what I mean? This is a movie that's got songs in it, whereas that is a big production, and that was so over the top for me. But obviously, we'll come on to that, ages, in a few weeks or whatever.
Mhm.
But this, I don't know. I don't know if I'd hate it if I never saw it as a kid.
Yeah, it's difficult because I've had that with some films where I've maybe been a little bit late to the party with it, and I can still sort of appreciate it for what it is. But I always think I would have been way more attached to this had I have, watched this whenever. I think that's just like the essence of nostalgia, isn't it? But I think this film is very accessible, and I think it is one of those films that everyone. It's kind of like Star Wars in a way. You know how you just sort of know the characters. You almost feel like you know the film. You've already seen the film before
That's
you've
the
even
thing.
seen
It's
it.
like, because I saw an interview with Mark Hamill, and they were just openly talking about, oh yeah, so when Darth Vader says he's Luke Skywalker's father, like it's just openly spoken about, and I get it, everyone knows. But I was sat there just like, what about the people that don't know?
Yeah.
It's universally accepted that you just know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the origin story of Superman or Batman. There are certain things that people just take for granted, or Spider-Man, people just take for granted that you already know these things. But there's always going to be people out there that don't.
Superman, really. There's technically more than one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Got a few more comments to get through. Kurt says, my uncle read me the entire book in one night when I was 6. He was only going to read me a few chapters, but I didn't want to be left wondering if Dorothy would get home. And then continues to say, truly one of the most magical nights of my life. I've read all of the books. Personally, I think the 3rd book is the best of the series, and Bourne never managed to quite top it. All of the Bourne books, that is. Oh, yeah, because we were saying that, other authors have picked it up after that. We've got Bath Time, who says, big up the lads. Glad you can make it, man. Thanks for tuning in.
See, I would like to read more of them, but I have a big list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do. You're working through it, though. You are a very, very fast reader. And something I'm very jealous of, actually.
Bigger. I go, like, it's about this big, and I'm like, I can't add more. And then suddenly it's that big. I'm like, fuck's sake.
So your reading list is like my movie films that I need to watch list. It's just like you start crossing films off, and then by that point, like double the amount get added to the list. It just, it never ends.
Like, I will watch it. And then you're still saying that 5 years down the line. You go, no, I will. And then you'll be 70 sitting there going, it might be time.
Mm-hmm. Kurt says, when I did see the movie a few months after hearing the book, I found it underwhelming. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not the same.
It's nowhere. Not nowhere, but it's not. The movie is not the same as the book. It's a very different vibe, I think. I mean, the movie has, well, one, obviously the book's not a musical, but also the movie, I think, because of also when it came out, like the Cowardly Lion looking the way he is like, you would only get that if it came out in 1939. If that came out today, he'd be fucking CGI'd and whatever. But like in the book, he's a lion. He's not a man dressed as a lion. In the movies, he looks like a man. He's not a man, but I mean, he looks exactly like a man dressed as a lion. So it kind of borders on that bit of a like kind of stage show as well, which I think is just a really cool vibe, but it's not the same. It's like when you say Lord of the Rings is a very different book as a movie. I don't see that as much, but like it's that kind of vibe, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I know sort of Cliff Notes. I don't know if this is sort of a hodgepodge of a few of the books rolled into one. That could be Return to Oz that I'm thinking of, where it takes elements from a few of them.
Based on 2 and 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then Carl also says, did you see that this was released at the Las Vegas Sphere? Yeah, I did actually just read about this earlier. It was a 75-minute version of the film, so they have cut it down somewhat, but this was like a huge sort of like, yeah, this is like a huge immersive 4D experience, similar to when we went to see Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, they've definitely cut it down because the original film just clocks in at under 2 hours, I think, doesn't it? It's relatively short, I think. I know the original version of the film they tried to cut it down to get like a more a runtime that was more manageable for audiences to go and see, I guess. But this was like a AI experience as well, like because they had to blow up the film on a huge screen. They've used AI to sort of expand the shots and whatnot, and they've got all like the sensory stuff in there.
Using AI to expand the shots, just do it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it's had mixed reviews though. I imagine it would be cool though. I think they re-recorded the whole score and soundtrack as well with a new like full orchestra, which would be pretty cool. But I don't know, if there's nothing wrong with the classic, then don't tamper with it, you know. But I suppose as an experience, if you're in Vegas, you know, and you enjoy the film, check it out. It's something different. JX says Chris is like 7 out of 10 and Dale is like 9 out of 10 audio wise. It's fine if you leave it, but it's there. Okay. I don't know if I can mess with the audio settings on here, actually. I think you might just need to sort of like knock your volume down, but let's not worry about it for today. We can sort it out for Wednesday. That's fine. Right. There are some more comments which I do want to get to, and we'll try and get through everyone's comments whenever we can. We'll sort of periodically move to the chat, but let's dive into this movie then. So, can you actually remember? Say that again. Sorry.
Skin melts, doesn't it?
Skin melts.
Yes, you can melt skin, can't you?
Yes, I believe so. Okay. Yes.
It's just a thought.
Are we moving straight on to the horrible burning accident of the Wicked Witch in this? Yeah. Or can you remember the first time you watched this film? Do you have sort of that like origin point? Can you remember?
I don't know if I remember the TV it was on. It was big, chunky black thing. Like, you know what I mean? I remember that, but I don't remember. I don't remember exactly because I watched it a few times when I was a kid. It was one of those movies that, like, you know, my nan liked watching as well. So it was, you know, like if I was a little kid and I was staying with my nan, so we can put on the Wizard of Oz because I like that, she likes that. You know, it was that kind of thing. So I saw it a number of times when I was a kid. So I don't remember the first exact time, but I just remember it being one, and you know every song, you know everything. It just became a staple that I knew.
Yeah. It is just, you know, as soon as you're like, I mean, we're both 90s kids, but you always sort of grew up knowing that this was regarded as a classic, one of those films that everyone would see. It was very much a generational thing. Of course it was, you know, coming out in the 30s, but this was on a sort of like around the holiday seasons as well. I remember it always being, it was quite often on TV around like Easter time or Christmas or something. It was like sort of the big movie that the whole family would watch. I had this on video though. And I don't know if it was one that I watched very often. I remember watching this in the spare room, which I think I may have done videos in that room before. I'm not sure. But that used to be my bedroom in like the spare room. And I had like my little dinky TV, and I would watch it on there. And I remember enjoying the film just fine, but there was always that inherent sort of creepy vibe to it. And I think a lot of people have said that who have watched it as a kid. Maybe they're scared of either the Wicked Witch, or for me, it was the flying monkeys. I thought they looked really creepy and weird. I must admit, for this review, I did get a hold of the Blu-ray, and it's an incredible transfer. The colors, you know, being in Technicolor, it just pops even more. It's a really, really great transfer. And then seeing the flying monkeys now in 2025, slightly more brighter and crisper, clearer. There's a little bit of creepy value to them, but that's sort of subsided a little bit now. But certainly the sequel that we'll be talking about next week is a lot creepier, I think. But it is one of those films that I think everyone should see. And I'm not going to say it's a film that I come back to very often. It certainly isn't. In fact, I think the last time that I did watch this film probably was when I was in, I don't know, single digits, or maybe like 10 or 11. It was a long, long time ago when I watched the movie, and I've never gone back to it since. It's one that I think you experience. It's so much in sort of like pop culture and the zeitgeist that you just, it sort of goes with you throughout the rest of your life, not having to keep coming back to it.
Now known to be green and, you know, have like the witch's hat, and it's all just developed around that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what was I going to say?
Even the ruby slippers thing where they tap it, because that was in an episode of My Parents Are Aliens where he was so Josh had he had these roller skates on, these like sparkly red roller skates, and then he falls over, bangs his head, and then he like ends up in this like dream world kind of thing where everything's backwards, everyone's different, blah 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 blah. That kind of alternate reality kind of episode. And then at the end, he's just like, oh, I want to go back. And someone's like, all right, click your heels together and say there's no place like home. And he does that. And then he doesn't end up back home. But anyway, but the point is like there's loads of things like that taken. So it's quite a lot of things are quite big staples in it.
Yeah, like it's the legacy that this film's had, and you know, it's been parodied and remade, purposed in various different other stories and whatnot. It all sort of like stems back to this, doesn't it? It was really actually Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, though, that sort of made MGM, buy the rights to this and go ahead with a film version of it, because they were kind of a bit wary of having it be high fantasy. At the time, there was original draft of the script where the Scarecrow was just going to be like a guy who scares crows. The Tin Man, this sounds like really dark. The Tin Man was going to be like an ex-convict or something that was punished by being sealed in a metal suit and being trapped in this metal suit for years. It sort of calmed him down.
He was a normal man that got hacked to bits.
Well, yeah, quite.
You know, there is that.
So it seems like there was this inherent trepidation about going full-blown fantasy with it, which is probably why they ended up, maybe, I don't know, this is just me speculating, of having that framing device of the Kansas farm and having it be more or less like a dream sequence in the film. You know, when she comes back at the very end and all the people from her life have sort of permeated into this fantasy realm that she's gone to. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why, because I mean, if Snow White was a huge success that it was, why wouldn't they have just gone full-blown fantasy with it? But no, it's interesting. It's, different times, I suppose, isn't it? The audience and pop culture's interests were probably on different things. Obviously, growing up, you're not really aware of the whole how horrendous this production was. You just sort of appreciate the magic of the film, and that's sort of where I view this film now. I've always been very good at separating, like the art from the artist, or whatever it happens to be. And there is a inherent sort of notoriety with this film now, or creepy value, because you do a little bit of reading about the film or watch documentaries on it, you realize how absolutely horrendous the production was on this film. And actors almost dying because of allergic reactions to makeup and costumes, and the absolutely awful treatment of Judy Garland as well. There's a lot of bad stuff that happened on the set of this film, and a lasting effect, especially with Judy Garland.
But the bad treatment of Judy Garland, I think Ducky got treated worse.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, we're bringing in that reference again. Land Before Time. Love it. Got to. So yeah, where do we even start with this thing? I think for me, the main thing with this film is just the legacy that it has. I think it is a very, very important film. You see this film often topping lists or being in the top 10 films of, best films ever made kind of thing. And I think it is deserving of that. I think it is a nice classic film like that that's very accessible to a lot of people. But it is one of those films of yesteryear. It's very much a 30s film in terms of its production and its treatment of certain things. So
I think it does really well with the whole, because it starts off black and white.
I love that.
It goes to color, and it's like, this is a colorful world she's in. I think that was amazing. I remember, as I said, I don't remember the first, I don't think it was the first ever movie I watched, but I just thought it was so cool when I was a kid, of like, oh, but how have they made it color? Like that kind of, you know what I mean? I thought that was just really cool. Yeah, it was that was one of my favorite things that they'll never be able to do in a movie again, because it's so of its time, like you say. Like if they did it now, it would just be why we started in black and white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be the whole like, oh, it's magical, it's going to color, because then that was new. It was like, oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I kept hearing that this was the first film to be done in Technicolor, and it wasn't. There was like a good few films that were made beforehand, so it wasn't like this brand new thing. It might not be this thing that was like massively popular and used in everything, but it had been done before. But nonetheless, the impact of that, I think it was a really, really good creative decision. And I mean, it just makes the fantasy, colorful world of Oz. You appreciate it all the more because you have that intro sequence at the beginning, and I like how it's offset with things. Watching this again, you talked about like the legacy this film's had on a lot of other films. When she first steps into Oz and you get this beautiful pan of like Munchkin Land and like the yellow brick road and all the lavish colors, it made me think of other musicals and other things that have done that, specifically Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where they first step into the chocolate room and you've got like these beautiful like green meadows and fields and the like the river running through it and stuff, and just how they built those sets. So I was seeing the influence that this film had on a lot of other things, and was reminding of a few other things after this. We'll sort of go in order of the film then, I guess. One thing that I really liked, and I never remembered it looking this good. And I did some reading to see how they did this, because I thought it could have been stock footage maybe. It was very creative how they did it. The twister sequence at the beginning still looks incredible to this day. Especially in Blu-ray. Like, I was wondering if, because it was a lot more sort of, you know, crisp and clear, if you were going to start to see, you know, the cracks in the filmmaking. Absolutely not. I thought that whole storm sequence at the beginning with the twister was really intense and incredibly well done for incredibly well done for today's standards. But knowing how they did it, apparently it was this huge bit of fabric, like this 35-foot length of fabric that was like attached and like moved around. And I think they had like clay sort of firing out on sprinklers and stuff around it. It looks great. Like, just in that background shot where you've got Dorothy trying to get into the bunker underneath, and then she eventually goes back in the house, and you just see this tornado in the background. Loved all of that stuff. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, and it's a longer sequence, the Kansas stuff in the movie than in the book, because in the book it's kind of like she's kind of there. There's a tornado, boom. Yeah. But in the movie, there's more of a kind of like, there's a few more characters and stuff introduced. Like when she goes to like the Jippo thing, whatever, you know what I mean? The dude in the caravan. So there's more things included in that. But it's really good at, obviously this was 1930 something, but it's still very good at feeling kind of timeless. Now, obviously, we don't have farms and stuff like that now, but we do, as in they are still a thing. They're just not like, but then that was sort of like your modern day sort of thing. It's like Of Mice and Men. You know, like I watched that the other day as well, to be fair, and
that's a great film.
And like, obviously I've seen it before, obviously when I was a kid, but like, I watched it the other day as well, and just seeing that kind of scenery, and obviously that was during like the Great Depression and everything. Now, obviously it's not timeless in that sense, because it is very periodic in a way, but it's like a farmyard out there, not in the city. It's like those kind of things still kind of exist. Like, it doesn't feel a million miles away. It's not like, do you know what I mean? It's not like watching, you know, something where it's set in like, you know, the 1800s London, where it's like, this is very, very different now. You know, and I always got that as a kid as well. It didn't feel like, oh, this is an old movie.
Yeah, no, and I think that's to the film's credit and why it's still easily accessible now. You know, probably with Wicked, how CGI and, you know, lavished it is now, some people might look at this and go, oh, it's a little bit old hat, but I think there is still a lot to enjoy with this. Something that I'd completely forgotten about this film was just how much time we spend on that Kansas stuff at the beginning. Of course, I remember, you know, the Wicked Witch wanting to, you know, she's going to call the sheriff on Toto because he savaged her, apparently. I remembered that stuff, and a lot of it was coming back to me a little bit. Twister, Over the Rainbow, of course, all classics. But I didn't remember aspects like, you know, like the Tin Man or the Cowardly Lion or the Scarecrow, like their real life personas. All the bit with like the pig pen and stuff where she's talking to all of them. I didn't remember any of that. So it was like very much watching it with a fresh pair of eyes, because it has been so long since I'd seen it. What blew my mind was as well that they were really concerned actually with how long that beginning segment was, all the Kansas stuff. And when they were cutting it down for time, you know, they removed entire sequences later on in the film. There was like a jitterbug deleted scene, which we'll talk about later, and a few of the bits where the Winkies and the guards of the Queen are celebrating when the witches melted. But yeah, they were actually going to remove Over the Rainbow. That was going to be on the cutting room floor because they were trying to cut it down for time. I'm very glad they didn't, because that's probably one of the most memorable things about the film, and the film would go on to win an Academy. The song would go on to win an Academy Award. So,
didn't that Hawaiian guy play it on ukulele?
Wait, what?
There's this big fat Hawaiian dude that swear he did a cover of it on ukulele.
I've no idea. I've never seen that. What do you think to that song then? Because we can talk about the music as well. Do you think that that's a classic song? Or
it is. It's a very good song, and I think she's got a very, very good voice. I think the voice is brilliant. Yeah, it is a very good song. I mean, the one that the one that sticks with me, and it's not because it's a better song. It's nowhere near a better song. But Follow the Yellow Brick Road sticks with me because she's singing that. She's dancing, so I've got to follow this road. And you literally see her at a fucking crossroads. It's like, I'll follow the road. It's like, well, which fucking way? Like
Mhm.
it just that song always pissed me off with that. I'm like, but how do you know which way you're going? I'll follow the road. Well, it goes about 3 different directions, so I don't know where you want me to go.
Mm.
Really pisses me off, that does.
It reminded me of the Cheshire Cat as well. You know, when Alice is like, "I don't know which way to go," and the Cheshire Cat's like, "Well, you could go that way, or you could go that way. Both are options."
Like,
You know.
either way, you'll find somewhere. But,
Yeah.
to be fair, I remember reading that book and me just going, he's not wrong. It's kind
Mhm.
of clever.
There's a lot of songs that have just stuck with me and just sort of like buried their way into my mind. For some reason, the whole "We represent the Lollipop Guild," like that whole bit there. I forgot about the Lullaby League, the like the ballet dancers before, because they sing about the Lullaby League first, and then the Lollipop Guild show up afterwards. So I'd forgotten about that part. But Lollipop Guild, the Wicked Witches, what is it? Oh shit! I forgot the name of the song.
If I only had a
This is
brain.
no,
Oh,
no,
I'm just saying
before
that's
that.
not.
Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. Sorry, that they sing
Yeah.
after the Wicked Witch of the East. So I was going to say that those have stuck with me, and I just forgot the name of the song. The ultimate irony of that, but there was a lot that I didn't remember actually. I didn't remember in Munchkin Land there was a Munchkin coroner that has to confirm the death of the Wicked Witch. He's got like this contract, like, yep, I've examined the body, and like she's fucking dead. I was like, oh my god, yeah. It does make me laugh that in the opening credits of the film, the Munchkins are just credited as the Munchkins, the singing Munchkins or whatever it is. They're not people. They're not named. Probably because there was like over, hundreds and hundreds of them. So it's just like, we'll call them the Munchkins. Who,
I think you saying the Munchkins aren't people is quite quite expensive. It's a little
no,
bit.
no, I mean that the filmmakers at the
What?
time, it's like, oh, they're not
They're not
people.
people. Dwarves are people too.
Well, yeah, no, of course I know that, but apparently in 1930 they did it. It's just like, oh, we'll call them the singing Munchkins. That's it. That's all they are. They had a whale of a time on set, though. They were paid quite a lot. I actually want to try and find out how much exactly because they've adjusted it for inflation. Yeah, here we go. So all of the dwarves were paid apparently $125 a week, which is equivalent as of 2024 to £2,800 a week. And yeah, they were getting drunk. They were apparently having like orgies and
I mean, wouldn't
shit.
you? If you were getting paid $3 a week on a set, you'd just be like, oh fuck it.
It's really bad though, because apparently some of them were like really lecherous with Judy Garland, and she's mentioned that a lot of them were like, like groping her and making inappropriate comments and whatnot, which doesn't fucking surprise me. It's horrible that it
It's one of
happened.
those things of like, if you want to be in Hollywood.
Exactly. I think she did mention that oh god, what was the name of MGM? Louis B. Mayer. He like groped her as well. But when you hear about all this Harvey Weinstein shit, and especially it was like the 30s as well, like this shit was just rife.
I think that's
This was
still a thing in
everywhere.
Hollywood. I genuinely believe that is still a thing in Hollywood.
Oh
Where
yeah.
actresses constantly will get told, if you want to be in Hollywood, you got to do this, and they just do it.
Well, you
Guaranteed.
see certain like actors get pushed more, don't you? Suddenly get more roles. They're in everything, and then all of a sudden they can just drop off, and it's the mind boggles. It absolutely does. But debauched, horrible antics from some of the Munchkins aside, just seeing that many extras in the costumes and just the set and everything in Munchkinland looks incredible. And when I was watching this film the other night, when watching it for this review, it did kind of make me yearn for older films like this. I'm not talking about the production, horrible production aside, but I was sort of like hit with this massive sense of nostalgia and just a sense of this does feel like a real theatrical experience. Do you know what I mean? Something that I don't really get with many modern films now. When you watch a lot of old classics like this, there is this charm to them when you sit down and it commands your attention, whether it's got an overture at the beginning or an intermission or whatever it is. It feels more authentic, I guess is the right way to say. That's not to say that some modern movies don't have that now, and I'm not saying that Wicked Part 1 doesn't have this now. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard as a film, as a production, it looks incredible. But do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's just, older films that carry that, but there is this just,
there is.
you kind of sigh, sit back and enjoy the experience.
Yeah, it's because nowadays I think things rely too much on CGI and all that, and it's kind of like, because you have actual set pieces and sets being made, and even when it comes to like drawings in the background. They use that drawing. It just, they make it so well, and there's a lot that goes into it, rather than like, oh, we can just do it all like this. Because realistically, as great as CGI can be, it's easier to do. Like, we've got more easier tools just to create that now, rather than someone doing that, that it becomes easy to just cut those corners and not do it up to the best standard.
Yeah, maybe feels a bit soulless. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Sort of.
It's wait till we get the AI the full AI movies. They will be. You'll go to the cinema,
yeah.
They'll be like, "Do you want to watch an AI movie, or do you want to watch it?" Just no.
Yeah. It'd be like choose your own adventure. They'll give you like a little card at the beginning. It'd be like, right, do you want the film to end like this? Do you want this character to die, or this? And you pick which film you want to see.
I want the one where everyone dies.
Yeah. Let's get to a few comments. Kurt the Gamer says, this story was completely new to me when it was read to me. I didn't know the wizard was a fraud. I didn't know the shoes could bring Dorothy home. I didn't know the witch would melt. You mentioned something about the witch doesn't like water. I don't know if she melts in the book. Maybe that is a new addition.
She does. But I think the line is literally says that she's scared of water. I know she's scared of the dark, which is fun. But I feel like it says that she's scared of water as well. And then it's, which is kind of funny. She doesn't really have much to do in the book. She's just kind of a thing. Kill the witch. Okay. Oh, I didn't think you'd do that. Basically, that is her whole plot. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas the movie, obviously, I know she shows up little bits, like when it's because she shows up at the beginning, doesn't she? When not Margaret Thatcher, whatever her fucking name was, got burned. She shows up at the beginning, but then she also shows up halfway through, doesn't she? When they meet the Tin Man, I can't remember exactly which bit, but she shows up there. It looks like she's not that persistent. So yeah, she's just kind of there. They throw water on her. They go back to the wizard, and the wizard's like, "Oh, well, I know I said like I'd help you if you did that. I didn't really think you would have come back." Kind of.
Yeah. It's Margaret Hamilton was the name you were after for the Wicked Witch. She's great, by the way. We'll talk about her in a second.
Which one, Margaret?
Yeah, sure. Let's just talk about 80s politics. Carl says, I grew up with this as a kid alongside Bugsy Malone. And another musical classic right there.
You know what's weird? I don't know if this is done on purpose, but you know Bugsy Malone, isn't Bugsy Malone like a gangster?
Yeah.
And you have Bugs Bunny, and then he has two adversaries called Rocky and Muggsy. But then if you put the B in Bugs Bunny and Muggsy, it's Bugsy. I don't know if that's done on purpose, or whether my brain just made some weird connection that was a weird coincidence.
Maybe. Well, the thing that you told me that blew my mind was the witch is called Elphaba or something in Wicked, right? And it's taken from the initials of the author of the book, L. Frank Baum. I still can't remember how you pronounce it. But yeah, Elphaba. Yeah, interesting. That's either genius or just really uncreative. I'm not sure. Somewhere in between, maybe.
I thought it was cool just to give her like a whole like she was still created by him. As much as she was created by him, he created this literally like a shell of a character that went, "Yep, cool, she dead. That's it." And now they've made this whole big thing about her. And it's the weird thing is in the original Wizard of Oz, she's not like the big enemy. She's just an enemy, and then she dies, and then it's like, right, now we've got more enemies, but now she's this worldwide thing.
Yeah, because the Gnome King's sort of like the main villain, isn't he? I think he said, yeah. Kurt says, I have read this book hundreds of times at this point. I can quote several passages verbatim to the point that I've been able to discuss it without a copy present. It sounds like me with The Hobbit a little bit. I love when you get a book like that, though, when it's just that one book that you're going on a long journey or something. That's the book that you grab to go with you. Like, I love that.
There's so many. It could be a game, it could be a movie where I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to go revisit that because I will see things I never saw last time, and it will stick in my brain more. But you can only do it with a certain amount of things because there's not enough time in the day to do it for everything that you want to deal with. Like Kingdom Hearts, I've played so many times, but then there are some games I'm like, I will go back to that. Like, I don't know if this is a good example, but Arkham, like I've never gone back to it, but I'm like, I would. But then at the same time, I'm like, there's not enough hours in a day. I've got other shit to do. So it becomes hard to do that. But yeah, I think it's story, when you experience it a few times, it just becomes, you just know every in and out of it.
Yeah. And Kurt goes on to say, it's also one of the few books where the book characters look completely distinct in my head from the movie ones because I formed that world via reading it so many times. I think it's always nice when you can have that as well.
I did that. I was reading a book that wasn't turned into a movie or anything. So any pictures online would be what someone else has drawn. And I googled what the character looked like just to see what other people draw, and I'm like, that's nothing like I fucking imagined it. Fuck off. I was like, get that away from me. It looks nothing like the actual character.
Let's see. I'll get to a few more comments later on. Let's jump back to the movie. Favorite character? Do you have a favorite character in this film?
I like the Scarecrow because he. Oh no, I was thinking the book Scarecrow where he snaps the necks of the crows. I was
Wow.
like, that's why I like the book Scarecrow. I mean, do you know what I like? This isn't a character, but I was just thinking of one thing I like was, you know, when they travel through the Emerald City and each shot is a bit different. Like like the horse changes color.
Yes, yeah.
The horse is my favorite.
The horse is your favorite character.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love Burt Lahr's performance as the Cowardly Lion. I love the way just his voice, like put him up, like just his mannerisms, the physicality of the role as well, and knowing what the poor man had to go through as well during the film. I feel like I can just extend that to everyone in this film, the horrible things that they had to go through. Ray Bolger is fantastic as the Scarecrow, though. It was a vaudeville actor, very, very physical. He actually lobbied for this role. He was originally cast as the Tin Man. And it was going to be Buddy Ebsen was going to play the Scarecrow, but Ray Bolger lobbied so hard for the role of the Scarecrow because he actually saw a performance of it on stage, I think in the early 1902 or something, and that performance that he saw as the Scarecrow was what inspired him to become an actor in the first place. And he was like, I'm born to play this role, let me play it. And then they've eventually switched them around. Poor Buddy Ebsen, though, who, they started shooting the cameras, rolling the cameras as him as the Tin Man. All of his footage has been lost, though, now at this point. It's sort of classic practice of older films. They never really hung on to the footage or anything like that. There's just a few production stills that exist with him in the costume. You can still hear Buddy Ebsen's voice on some of the group recordings of the songs in the film. They re-recorded some of them with the new actor who played the Tin Man, but you can still hear the original voice. But he had a absolutely horrible go of it. So the makeup that they applied, the original makeup was aluminium powder or something, I think it was, that was mixed into the paint. And or aluminium dust it was, which got into his lungs. And one day he just tried to breathe and couldn't. No air went in. It completely destroyed his lungs and his breathing, and he had to, he was rushed to hospital in critical condition. He was on oxygen and everything like that. Apparently, MGM reached out the very next day saying, so when you're coming back to work, which is, it's a business, I get it, but it's absolutely horrible. They also really downplayed the seriousness of the situation as well. Anyway, he couldn't come back, and he was replaced on the quiet with the actor who we have in the film. I'm just trying to find his name because there's a lot of people involved with this. Jack Haley. Now, they didn't tell him about this. Of course they didn't. They need a new actor for the Tin Man. The production's rolling. It's expensive. We need to get moving on this picture. So they changed the makeup on the quiet as well. So the aluminium dust was changed to an aluminium paste, which was better. It was better than the dust, but apparently it gave him a really severe eye infection that he had to go to hospital for as well. A lot of the paint in this film, the face paint and everything, was incredibly toxic, especially the Wicked Witch, Margaret Hamilton, who apparently got the role 2 days before filming. She had to learn all of her lines within just 48 hours, which is incredible. The original design for the witch was going to be much more like the evil queen from Snow White. She was going to be much more regal, beautiful, and sort of a sly villain. And then the decision was made to make her sort of the horrible green hag that we know.
Who would have played a good Wicked Witch? Kathy Burke.
Kathy Burke?
She would play a good, she would play a good witch. She looks a bit witchy, doesn't she?
I guess so. I was trying to find the name. Gail Sonnengard, I think was the original one that they cast. But yeah, so Margaret Hamilton's in, and I will say her performance is fantastic. Watching it again, she is amazing as the Wicked Witch. Like the voice is iconic, the look, the lines, and everything. Her face paint was copper based, which was also incredibly toxic. And she had to be on a liquid diet during all shooting days. It was also incredibly flammable, which was very unfortunate for the accident that happened on set. So the one that we see in the movie, where she appears in Munchkin Land and she's like, "I'll get you, Dorothy," blah blah blah, and then she disappears. And she descends down a trap door, and all smoke and fire comes up, and it looks all very epic and cinematic. That was the first take. They did a second take, and they fucked up the timings, and the pyrotechnics went off, and she was essentially engulfed in flame. Not to mention that the face paint, and it's on her hands as well, was incredibly flammable. It's just horrible thinking about that, and she suffered severe third-degree burns and had to be rushed to the hospital. And apparently they used acetone to remove the face paint, but because of the burn injuries that she had, it was removed with alcohol, which she's an absolute trooper. But of course she came back and finished the film. There was one thing though, where when she came back, they wanted her, it was like the broomstick thing where she's flying on the broomstick. It's probably where she does like that message in the sky for Dorothy.
It pretends to be a little plane.
Yes, yeah. And they wanted her to get up on this broomstick with the whole smoke machine thing, and she says, like, I've just come back from this horrible burn thing. Like, I'm not doing that. So they got her stunt double to do it, and surprise, surprise, something went horribly wrong, and the stunt actress I think like the smoke machine malfunctioned or something, and I think she was like burned as well or something from it. Oh my god!
There you go. I'm glad.
What do you think to the Wicked Witch's death in this? I know you mentioned in the book, maybe it works better in the book because she's not as like a significant role in the book. Would that be fair to say? Whereas in the movie, is your main antagonist to just
because she's mentioned from the beginning, but she's not, because she's mentioned from the beginning. She does exist. They know that she's a threat, but she's not as prominent as she is in the movie, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. But it did make me laugh in the movie watching it again. Like, of course, I knew that that's how she died. I'm melting. Oh, what a world! It's so iconic. But watching it again now, I'm like, well, that was kind of easy. There's just a bucket lying around. It's in the dungeons, in the prisons, isn't it? And she's not even throwing it at the witch. She tries to throw it on the Scarecrow to put him out. Misses. It's just, well, that's the end of the Wicked Witch. There we go.
How these things happen, all by mistake. Oh shit, didn't mean to do that, but cool.
It did make me laugh though, because when she first appears in Munchkin Land, I think she says, I don't know if it's the Wicked Witch who says this, or it could be Glinda, says that the Wicked Witch has no power in Munchkin Land. I'm like, well, she literally descends via magical trapdoor and engulfs herself in flame, and I'm like, she magically shows up. I'm like, she must have some power.
I think in the book she has, like, they all have powers over their own. I can't remember, but I know there's two good witches in the
like Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, he can only stay in one place.
Let's see. JDC says, since Kurt the Gamer said he was an avid reader while bringing up the Oz book series, I've learned that the Oz location was real in the books, while it was implied to be all dream in the 1939 film.
When you said that a second ago, when you said it was all real, I thought there was literally a place called Oz that it was based on, and I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. But yeah, no, it was. The thing is, the film makes it it makes it more dream sequency, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it goes off the whole Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, doesn't it? Dream sequence. It's that kind of similar vibe.
Yeah, there was also going to be a deleted epilogue, which I guess would sort of play into a few things with the whole ending a little bit more and the ambiguity of it. So there was a musical number that was removed. This was where they're trying to get to Dorothy, who's trapped in the witch's castle. And there is a line, apparently, I didn't remember this line being in the movie, but there is a line that still exists where it implies this scene that was removed, which was the jitterbug dance sequence. There's still a line in the movie where the witch tells her flying monkeys, apparently, quote, "I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them," what it was going to be is there was going to be this insect that attacked them and that was like buzzing around. And then there was this whole song and dance number called the Jitterbug because they were trying to appeal to the modern demographic, the younger demographic. The Jitterbug was a dance, and they tried to integrate that in there.
Didn't Wham do a song as well like that?
Jitterbug, yeah. A great song.
Can you imagine that just like them bursting into Wizard of Oz?
But the footage of this deleted scene doesn't exist. I think there's some like silent like test footage, promo footage maybe that exists, but the song actually survived, the recording of the on-set number, so you can still find that. And I think that song has been used in subsequent versions of the Wizard of Oz in like various animated films, and I think like a Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz movie, they put the Jitterbug song in there. It's probably been used in some like musical on-stage adaptations of Wizard of Oz too. But going back to the epilogue, there was going to be a whole romance angle actually with the Scarecrow's character, like the real life character in Kansas, and Judy Garland, and that was going to sort of tie in more with. Oh, sorry,
Judy Garland, the little child.
Yeah, I think she was 16, wasn't she, when they were filming this? So
yeah. I thought she was 14.
I'm not sure, but it was going to tie in with the whole thing where, you know, when she says goodbye to all of her friends in Oz and she turns to the Scarecrow at the end and says, I think I'll miss you the most out of everyone. And she says that right in front of the Tin Man and Cowardly Lion. Didn't Family Guy do a sketch of that?
Yeah.
That was it.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're right here, you know. But that was going to tie in more with that. And when she gets back to Kansas, there was going to be this whole, I think he was going to like leave town and he says like, oh, write to me or something. And he was going to profess his love for her. So yeah. Few deleted scenes there.
I think what they should have done was he should have literally removed his brain and given it to her as a gift.
What was I going to say? Yeah, just more shocking things on set. So the Scarecrow didn't get out of this as well. The latex sort of face that he had. The makeup's really good on the Scarecrow, though. It's good on everyone, I will say, but especially like watching it in Blu-ray, even crystal clear, like you can make out the details of it. It's so good. But because of how it was like sealed to his face, apparently it gave him permanent lines on his face after the making of this. I don't know if they're scars. I don't think they're scars, but just, you know, distinct marks on his face. But Bert Lahr as the Cowardly Lion is absolutely horrible. So, I mean, the most horrible thing is you find out that
made of like cement or some shit.
His suit, what, the Cowardly Lion?
Yeah, it was like a weird. I don't know, but it was always like the Grinch or something, wasn't it? Where it was like basically fucking heavy or some shit.
Well, Carl mentioned it earlier. Said wasn't the Lion Man's costume actually made out of a real lion? Yeah, apparently real lion's fur, and yeah. So it's. You're watching it thinking, oh, the costume for the Cowardly Lion's amazing. It looks so real and lifelike. And then you're like, oh, yeah.
It's like, have you seen Freddy Got Fingered?
Bits of it.
Yeah, you know where he dresses up as the moose. He puts the carcass on it. It's like that.
Yeah. Daddy, would you like some sausages? That's
become the animal.
But this costume apparently weighed like 90 pounds. It was heavy. And because it was in Technicolor, the lighting was so intense, and apparently it would get up to temperatures. I think it was like 38 degrees Celsius or something like that. It was fucking hot in there, and he was in this 90-pound fur suit, absolutely miserable, because it was so cumbersome and because the makeup took so long as well. They didn't want to keep removing the makeup, so he would be in this all day. And some of these, like the actors would be in makeup at like 4 a.m. They'd be doing 6-day weeks. And they would be shooting all the way through to like 7 p.m. in the evening. He had to be on a liquid diet. Apparently he existed on soup and milkshakes for the first few months of filming, which made him incredibly ill. And eventually he just argued and said, I want actual food and makeup reapplication after lunchtime.
On a diet of cigarettes and coffee, though.
Yeah, she was treated horribly. Like they said, Judy Garland was overweight. I think one of the execs called her, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something like the little fat pig or something like that. She was absolutely diabolical. And to make her look younger, because she was a lot older than the book counterpart, they originally wanted Shirley Temple, who was sort of like the childhood sweetheart at the time, but I think she was tied up with 20th Century Fox, and I think, you know, her scheduling didn't allow for her to be on the set. But Judy Garland was the most experienced of the three. But they'd like constrict her chest as well, and they'd make inappropriate comments. I didn't know this, but I read that she had to wear like false upper teeth, because apparently her teeth were quite crooked and they thought she looked horrible, so they were like put these fake teeth in. She had to wear these like nostril implants as well to reshape her nose because they said she had an ugly nose. She was on diet pills. She was on uppers and downers to get her through the shoots, which apparently the combination of all this stuff led to sort of like excessive giggling, like hysterics. And there was a scene, I think it was when she's introduced to the Cowardly Lion, where Judy Garland just broke down on set and started just having uncontrollable laughter. Sounds like something the fucking Joker would do in the Batman, She just started laughing uncontrollably, and the director slapped her to get her back on track. And apparently the next take was great. I did read somewhere, though, he felt really horrible about that. This was Victor Fleming, the director.
Oh, he didn't. He just said that.
And he did apologize, and apparently he asked everyone on set to punch him after doing this, but Judy Garland kissed him afterwards.
Maybe that was his plan. Maybe he wanted the little 14-year-old girl to. I don't know. Maybe that was his thing.
Yeah, maybe. But the long and short of it is,
so I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, he'd have been like, "Now listen here, you're getting hysterical." Slap, like But this whole concoction that she was on of diet pills and the uppers and downers and whatnot, this would stay with her all of her life. And of course, she died at a very, very young age, 47, from an overdose. So this was something that the demons of this, probably not just this film, although it didn't fucking help. This was just the nature of Hollywood, and I think her mum really pushed her into it as well. It's just really sad how it turned out, and I think that's why Over the Rainbow became so synonymous with her. Wanting a better place and whatnot.
Push their kids from a young age to be like famous is because they want to be famous, and they're like, "Well, I can't do it," and also because they want money.
Yes,
they're like, it's a job, but their kid can't say no, so they just go, "You do this," and then they get money. I mean, it ends up being a good thing for a lot of them when they become big because they get loads of money. If their parents didn't push them to do it, they wouldn't have loads of money. So fair enough, but that's why, really, isn't it?
Let me just see. So a lot of the earlier comments were talking about the ambiguity of the ending and how it's really inferred that it's just a dream sequence. Kurt says there are rumors that originally the camera was supposed to pan down and show the ruby slippers under her bed, but such a scene was never scripted. Yeah, we see this in a lot of films as well. You mentioned Alice in Wonderland, Labyrinth as well, which I watched recently again. Very Alice in Wonderland based, and that whole, is it a dream? Is it real? And yeah. All of the Kansas stuff was invented for the film. Oh, okay. The book begins with the tornado. Also, I think that additional Kansas stuff was poorly executed because they never resolved the Toto stuff. Yeah. What do you think to the Kansas stuff then? Because you've read the book, so you've probably got a better frame of comparison.
Like at the beginning, it's kind of like she is there, and then there's a tornado, and then she goes to Oz. Like it's not like I say they with the Jippo dude in the he's got like a fucking glass ball as well, like a gypsy.
Yeah, he's like he's a charlatan mystic, isn't he? Yeah.
Yes, that whole thing's not in the book and all that, but like at the end, I feel like the last chapter is literally one page where it's like, "Oh, I'm home." It's just like one short page of like, "Oh, cool, where we missed you," done. Do you know what I mean? So it's not really. I like the Kansas stuff. I didn't see an issue, but then again, I saw the movie first. I always need a movie. I already read the book like the first time this year. So yeah, maybe, but it didn't feel unneeded or unwarranted in the movie.
Yeah. Sort of going alongside
having it longer as well gives credit to the whole, like, when it changes into color, because you actually spend time in the black and white world rather than just it's a black and white world for 10 seconds.
Again, I drew a comparison to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory there. You spend a lot of time with that film before you get to the factory, and it makes you more excited to get there.
I hate the music in Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory.
What?
Fucking hate it. I watched it so many times when I was a kid. It's one of those movies, again, like my nan liked watching, but I hated the movie. It was one of the things I was just like, why has everyone got to sing about everything? I just did not like the music in the movies.
It's just, well, a good musical advances the story through music. I feel like it.
It's shit music. I mean, I like the Candyman.
No.
Candyman's cool.
Pure Imagination's one of the best like written songs ever. It's so good.
What about fucking, you know, Grandpa Joe being all like, "Oh, I'm crippled. Oh, chocolate. All right, I can stand."
That's in the book. That's in the book.
I know,
you know,
but it just
take it up with Roald Dahl. Well, you can't, but you know,
Roald Dahl didn't like the movie.
He didn't like a lot of things.
Yeah, he didn't like fucking black people either, did he?
No.
But no, the worst Willy Wonka one was the Johnny Depp one. That was fucking diabolical.
Yes, agreed. We'll save that for a future Tim Burton retrospective, which we might get around to at some point. This is interesting, yeah. So Toto is credited as Toto as well, even though the dog's name was Terry, and almost all of the characters are credited as their Kansas personas rather than Oz. Yeah, I think it's just Glinda and what's the name of like the head flying monkey? Is it, oh god, Nico. I think.
I don't know.
Carl says modern films are full of self-importance with pushing a message where older films just told a story. Yeah, that's probably it.
Not everything is relevant. I'm a firm believer.
Let's see what else. So we've covered the Tin Man, we've covered the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, poor old Judy Garland. Flying monkeys. I haven't heard any horror stories about the flying monkeys. I didn't read anywhere that, you know, like a wire fucking snapped or hung someone. Actually, hanging. We can talk about that. The whole urban legend of the hanging munchkin at the end of We're Off to See the Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz. It's where you've got the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and they're walking into the distance. Now, the copy on Blu-ray, and I have watched this scene on YouTube before. It's kind of like a fun, creepy urban legend. It's something like a creepy video that you watch on YouTube at like 3 a.m. when you're about to go to sleep and you really shouldn't be watching creepy shit. And at the back, so I was noticing there's a lot of sort of storks and like peacocks and like big birds that they have to like decorate the set almost in that sequence. And you can see them like clear as day in the background. And as they walk into the background, you see a crane. It's very, very clear on the Blu-ray copy. This stork that sort of unfurls its wings and then like tucks them back in. Watching it though, and this could just be because that scene's in my head and I'm purposely looking at that shot. It did look almost kind of CGI-y a little bit on this copy, like a bit of like George Lucas special edition sort of thing. So I don't know. I don't know if for like an original VHS version, it looks different and they've pasted over that very controversial scene. There are some YouTube comparisons, but nothing's set in stone. People are saying that the original footage that looks like a hanging, swinging munchkin has been doctored and is fake, and that the stork with the wings is actually the original version. I don't know. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this urban legend from this film?
I think it'd be hard not to hear about that urban legend. It's I know it's a myth. I know it's not actually a thing. I know it's like a crane or something, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've not seen the comparisons of like if they've taken it out or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. I'll be interested to see what people say. Well, Kurt says I've tracked down all of the VHS copies. So yeah. Who knows? Going back to the melting witch, though, Kurt says the witch does melt in the book. Quote, her dread of water was much greater than her fear of the dark.
I knew there was like a dread or fear of water as well. Yeah.
And she won't try and get Dorothy's shoes while she's bathing because of that.
Yeah, she has a bath.
She does. Margaret Hamilton is the star of the show, in my opinion. Yeah, I'll agree to that. I think her in the Cowardly Lion and the Scarecrow, they're like my top. Even the Tin Man, though. Everyone in this film is great. But yeah, if you're going to talk about the ones that like
the flying monkeys aren't evil in the book. That is a thing.
Well, they're just there.
Little genies. You have a little cap, and you have to say a magic spell. You have to say the magic words, and then the flying monkeys will be on your command for 3 things that you command them to do, and they will appear.
Oh, they're like a genie,
basically.
Yeah.
So the witch has like the golden cap, and she says these words, and the monkeys appear, and she's like, "Do this," and then they do that, and everyone gets 3, and then Dorothy gets 3, and one of them is take me home, and they appear and they go, yeah, we can't do that. Now that's 1. So cheers.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, Kurt mentions it there. The witch was controlling them with a magical hat.
Yep, the magical cap, the golden cap.
And Kurt says all VHS copies of the film have the exact same bird that's in the DVD and Blu-ray versions. The Hanging Munchkin clip is a YouTube edit made to fool people. Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. I believe Kurt. Kurt's like the ultimate, mastermind of all things Wizards of Oz. So, Kurt, I will take your word for it. Absolutely. It is a fun urban legend. I like when things like that sort of circulate. It adds a little bit of notoriety and already adds an extra level of creep value to the film, which was fun. Carl says, I've always loved the concept of the man behind the curtain. It's been used as a theme in many shows, including Lost. Carl, thank you so much. Carl's like the resident Lost fan on this channel, which is great. And any opportunity to mention Lost or reference it, I'm totally here for. So that's great. Yeah, no, it's a really interesting concept, and it has been used in many, many things since then, hasn't it? I'm not sure if this was one of the first ones to do that. And that is in the book, right? That the wizard is like a charlatan, and
he's a shapeshifter in the fucking. So basically, what he does in the book, every time they all go in, so the Scarecrow going to meet him, and he's like, he projects a fucking, what is it? I can't remember each one it is, but he's like a big flying eyeball. And then he's something else. So he projects different things. But yes, he is a fraud. He's still the same sort of thing, but he projects those things, which isn't in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was quite cool. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, now he's a different thing. What is he this time? And it was, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I might have to read the book, actually.
But yeah, so he's not a shit, but he projects the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's the same sort of concept of the man behind the thing. But I always like that in the movie where they pull the curtain. Well, yeah, because Toto finds him, doesn't he? And then they pull the curtain, and then you see him behind there, and he's just this little guy. And that's always, I swear that's used in loads of things, isn't it? Where it's like you got the big bad guy, but he's actually being controlled by the little guy. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie Boogie, but he's actually just a little bug.
Yes, brain. Yeah.
Kind of like that.
What was I going to say? He mentioned like arriving also from Kansas or something on a balloon, and I haven't seen this movie yet. We will be talking about it in a couple of weeks' time, where we talk about Sam Raimi's Oz the Great and Powerful. But I remember from the trailers, like James Franco, the wizard, in a hot air balloon for that. I was like, oh, okay, so that must stem from the book, and that's sort of the wizard's origin story. Does it go into that in this first Wizard of Oz book then, or do we learn more about the wizard in a future book? Do you know?
I feel like you'd learn more about him in the future. I don't know because I haven't read the future ones, but you don't learn much more about him in that. It's like, yeah, he is, and then he's in a hot air balloon, and then she lets go, and then he disappears. He's like, "Sorry, I'm going." And then
yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. But there is one of them's called Oz and the Great Wizard or something, and it's like we've already had that. It's like it's the Great, like, because it's the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, but I think it's like the Great Wizard of Oz. It's like we've already had that, and it's like one of them. It's the Scarecrow of Oz. It's like, yes, we've known who the Scarecrow is for the past, and then I think you've got the Tin Man of Oz, but there's no Cowardly Lion of Oz, and I'm like, hey, we missed him out.
We need justice for the Cowardly Lion. Yeah, so Kurt the Gamer apparently has an audiobook that he's done of The Wizard of Oz. So I guess anyone who's interested in listening to that, definitely check it out. I am someone who sort of exists on audiobooks. I do a lot of driving for work, so it's really one of the only opportunities that I get to get through stories. I know we've talked about
be able to when I'm driving, because I'd either focus so much on that and crash, or I'd zone out, which is what I do when I drive. I zone out, but on the roads, and they're just there, and I'll be like, I have no idea what I was listening to.
I'm currently struggling through the Iliad. I'm trying to get the Iliad and the Odyssey listened to before next year, before Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, and I'm really, really struggling with the Iliad. I know it's a literacy, classic, an epic poem and whatnot. I understand its significance in history, but I hate it so far. I'm really, really struggling. I'll persevere. I'm listening to Alfred Molina, Dr. Octopus, read it. So, yeah. Who knows? We've talked about going through the Harry Potter books as well at some point for when we cover those films and the new series that comes out.
That's going to be a fun series.
Yeah. What else? The music. We've kind of talked about the music already a little bit. So Harold Arlen, who composed the music, and then the lyrics were done by E.Y. Yip Harburg, won the Academy Award for Over the Rainbow. I think, and it apparently won the Academy Award for Best Original Score too. I think it's an incredible soundtrack. You've got Herbert Stothart as well, who was like the composer and singer-songwriter as well. If I had to pick a favorite song, it probably wouldn't be Over the Rainbow, although I know that is the classic one. I do really like If I Only Had a Brain.
Yeah,
The Scarecrow one.
that is one of my favorite ones.
And I think because that tune is shared between the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion as well, they just changed the lyrics to it. I think that's really important when you have a song like that does repeat and changes. I thought it was one of the, going back to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was genius to have like a tune for the Oompa Loompas and they changed the lyrics to it, was recurring. Because I did see somewhere for the Tim Burton one how Danny Elfman wanted just one song that was repeated, and Tim Burton was like, no, let's get crazy with it, let's have a 70s psychedelic rock version, and let's have like an 80s rock, like a glam version, and then and it's just absolute garbled nonsense in that film. The lyrics are closer to the book, but just musically it's all over the place. So that would probably be my favorite one, but there's a lot of great numbers. There was originally another deleted sequence, as well, where there was going to be a reprise of Over the Rainbow, where Dorothy is trapped in the witch's castle, and they shot it live, and they wanted her to cry, and it's a very, very emotional. They thought it was too emotional. That's why they removed it. They thought it was too heartbreaking.
Cry.
No, I think with the lyrics and everything she was going through at the time, I think it would be pretty easy for her to cry on command, in all fairness. And apparently it was too raw and too emotional.
People cry at lyrics and stuff. I've never understood that. Cry at movies, never.
Because you're like the fucking Tin Man. You have no heart.
I don't get it. I don't see how it could be a thing.
I've always had emotional reactions to this stuff, but the recording exists, and I think they have brought it out in subsequent CD versions and whatnot, so you can hear that take. I think it would have been nice to reprise that song. It's a shame some of these deleted sequences. I can maybe understand why they got rid of the jitterbug, but it is weird how they still have that line in the movie about the insect. Like, if you're going to remove the sequence, remove the line as well. But yeah. Let's see. Any more comments? If not, I think we'll probably round off on this soon.
It's not related that much, but I had so I played Lego Island 2 on PC when I was a kid, and there's this mission where you have to like catch a fish, and like you have to do this fishing thing, and then afterwards your character's like, yeah, it was cool, I caught a fish, blah 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 blah. Right, bro. The PS1 version, they leave that line in there, but I cut out the fucking mission. So I played the PS1 version a few years ago, and he was like, oh, I caught a fish. I was like, no, you didn't. There was no fish catching, and it really pissed me off. So why the hell are you going on? Oh, it really annoys me.
Yeah. JDC says, considering that Carl did bring up the Las Vegas Sphere version of The Wizard of Oz, I've seen that the great and powerful Oz's head has been replaced with a jarringly Squidward-like head. Oh, is that something that the AI's thrown up? Like, why? I don't get why they just couldn't re-release the film. You could have had it like live with orchestra, or use AI to blow it up to IMAX level, I suppose, maybe. But I don't know. This is where we're getting into tampering with a classic now, and a like a Blu-ray remaster is one thing, but where you're actively going into the film and changing bits, it's like, especially a classic that is The Wizard of Oz, that's
like when they change Roald Dahl's books, the wording.
Yeah, it's not okay. Can't be doing that shit. Can't be doing that. I guess the last thing that I'll mention as well is that when this was first released, it made somewhat of its money back, I suppose, probably not a lot. So it only earned $3 million on a budget of 2.7 back in the day. I think reception was pretty good, but for whatever reason, it just didn't make all that much money. And it was only until it was re-released in 1949. It had a lot of airtime on TV as well. As I mentioned earlier, sort of around the holidays and whatnot, it was a big TV event. Movies like, the premiere of The Wizard of Oz on CBS or whatever it happened to be, whatever channel. And then it gained that notoriety over time. So I guess final thoughts on The Wizard of Oz, unless you've got anything else you want to talk about the film.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you have a favorite scene? Did we talk about that? Do we have? Was it when she first goes into?
I
Oz?
like that, yeah, because the color, because when it changes to color, I think that's cool. I like when she skips down the road and they're all like singing to her and like waving goodbye. I think that looks really cool.
Mhm.
It's still one of the stupidest songs though. It fucking irritates me. Like there is no straight road. It really pisses me off.
Yeah.
Should just be follow the signs.
Yeah. I think one of my favorites. So I mentioned, the whole Twister sequence looked really, really good in Kansas, but
Oh, and the Oreo people.
Oreo. Yeah, I guess they're the Winkies then, aren't they? They're just her. So she
Yeah,
has flying monkeys and also regular guards as
yeah.
well. I guess is that it? Yeah. I always wondered what they were. And you've talked to me a little bit about Wicked. I'm still going into that pretty cold. I only know sort of like the broad strokes of it, really. Not even that much, really. The sort of light strokes of it, I suppose. But you said, "Oh, this gets an origin story, and we get an explanation for this." And I was like, what about the guards?" And you were like, "Yeah, no, the Winkies aren't really in it all that much."
I don't remember getting an origin story of those. We might do. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen the musical. We might get more of them in the second movie, and in the second movie, it's like what fucking. It's made the play twice as long, so we might get things we never got anyway. But yeah, we get origin stories on the flying monkeys, which isn't true because it contradicts the book, which is the true thing. But yeah.
Speaking of the Winkies, they removed a musical number of them. I think I may have mentioned it earlier, but after The Witch Melts, they were going to have a reprise of The Wicked Witch is Dead, and they were going to like Hail Dorothy. There was a whole musical number where they start singing, which again, I think exists and you can find. But yeah, man, the Winkies got shafted in this movie. They're really cool. I want to know more about them. But yeah. Kurt says, "You probably know now if you discuss Wizard of Oz in a room I'm in, you can't shut me up." That's cool. And Kurt, I hope you join us because we're going to be, doing this retrospective until, well, Wicked Part 2 comes out. So we're going to be covering sort of all the mainline films. We're not doing like all of the silent ones and whatnot. I think we bite off more than we can chew with that. So we're not going to do like the Muppets Wizard of Oz or Tom and Jerry Wizard of Oz. Like we're not going to talk about that stuff. But
Yeah, Goldblum plays the wizard in Wicked.
he does. He does. The book calls them Winkies, and the action figures of them that were released, McDonald's tools, were called Winky Guards. Oh, there you go.
Funny. That's funny.
Final thoughts for me. Yep, this is an absolute cinema classic. If you can sort of separate in your mind the absolutely horrific production and treatment of the actors, yeah, you could say, "Oh, it was a different time." That doesn't make it okay. Times in Hollywood in the 30s were absolutely diabolical. Nowadays, they're soulless.
It got her to do her job, so
I guess so. And for the piece of art that it is a classic. Whether it's the best film ever made, that's up for debate. I don't know when I'd rush back to watch this, but it is just one of those nice cozy movies, isn't it?
I wonder what the best film ever made is.
Lord of the Rings. There you go.
We should do a retrospective on that. The top 10 best movies ever made, in our opinion.
Oh, that would be interesting. Now, here's the caveat. When people have asked me my top 10 films before, I always think, so I'd have the Lord of the Rings trilogy in there, wouldn't I? Now, would that occupy 3 places in my top 10 list, or can I group can I have to pick one?
Yeah.
Because I'm already thinking like I'd have the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I'd have the Star Wars trilogy, I'd probably have the Indiana Jones trilogy. That's nine of my picks out of the 10.
I think there could be exceptions when you've got like a thing that's generally 2. But I think when you're talking trilogy and then another one, it's like you've got to kind of just
pick one from it. Okay, challenge accepted. I could do that. I mean, if people would like to see that, sound off in the comments, let us know. We can definitely do some other videos like that because, as I say, we've been very Studio Ghibli heavy at the moment, which is great, and I'm loving that. But I think these Wizard of Oz reviews that we'll be doing over the next few weeks. So I guess we should say next week we're going to be covering Return to Oz, which I can't wait to watch that film again. I love my 80s fantasy films. The week after, we'll be doing Sam Raimi's Oz the Great and Powerful, and then we'll be capping it all off with Wicked Part 1, and then the following week we'll have the release of Wicked for Good. So, yeah, it'd be nice to sprinkle these in, and maybe we can do some more ranking videos or top 10 lists. I actually don't know what your top 10 would be. I don't know if I've ever asked you that question before.
To be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know ones that would be on there, but I don't know what all 10 would be. That would be fucking difficult. That's like the top 10 songs. You're like, whoa, hang on.
Yeah, that'd be tricky. because that really depends on your mood, doesn't it? You know, there could be songs that you don't listen to all that much, but you regard as same with best films of all time. There are some films that I've seen that are either so emotionally harrowing or whatever, or you watch it's a film to be experienced. You know, like Grave of the Fireflies or Schindler's List or something, like you watch it and go, that is probably one of the best films ever made, but I don't know when I'm going to be in the mindset to watch something like that again. So yeah. Wow, did I really end this review talking about like Schindler's List? Oh, let's get the mood up. Let's bring it back up. So I want to say, Jesus, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone in the comments tonight. I didn't expect this kind of turnout tonight from a Wizard of Oz review. I really didn't. But you know, we've had JX, we've had Bath Time, Kurt the Gamer. Oh God, JDC man, there we go. And obviously, if anyone checks this review out after the fact, please do let us know your thoughts on Wizard of Oz. Is it one of your favorite films of all time? And hopefully you stick with us over the next couple of weeks, because we'll be covering a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff, which is going to be something new and different for the channel. Please do consider subscribing as well if you like what you saw. We're going to be here for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. Anything that takes our fancy, and really whenever I get time to live stream. So yeah, we'll be bringing you more content. And yeah, just a big thank you once again to everyone else. We will be back, though, in 2 days' time, continuing our Studio Ghibli retrospective, where we'll be covering Arrietty, which is the adaptation of The Borrowers. So yeah, we'll be around. Until then, hope everyone has a great night. I hope everyone's doing well, and we will catch you on the next stream. Take care, everyone.